You are listening to the Workbench After Hours podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to the Second Amendment, where we talk about firearms, everything going on in the gun community, and we even try a different whiskey every week. In this week's episode, we are going to talk about gun shows and kind of the trend that I have been seeing as a vendor doing the gun shows since 2017. We also talk about the Pittsburgh police chief coming out and saying they are not going to respond to emergencies and what that means for its citizens. And while we talk about all that and some more, we try Heaven Hill, a bottled in bond, straight Kentucky bourbon whiskey. Welcome to episode 108 of the Workbench After Hours podcast. Chris is here with me, and he is going to tell us about this whiskey bottle sitting in front of us.
We are drinking Heaven Hill Bottle and Bond. So on the back here, it says that it was the number one selling bourbon in Kentucky, and that the history of it comes back from 1939. And still today, the craftsmanship is poured into this historic offering that reflects the company's founders. Yeah.
7 years old, 100 proof. This was at one point on allocation, and now it's no longer on it because I kind of see it a lot of places now. About 50, somewhere between, I think about $50.
Yeah.
Is what it is. I've heard good things. A lot of people say, oh, if you like Blanton's, you'll like this.
Okay.
That's what I've heard.
I wonder if it's like the same mash build or something.
Yeah.
Just aged.
Well, we'll find out. I'm going to be suffering through this. I can kind of smell. I decided to mow the grass today, and then all of a sudden my allergies went from 0 to 100. So
I can smell the peppery in it.
Yeah.
The rye.
I could kind of smell a little bit. I'm getting caramel, vanilla.
Yeah. You can definitely
Some
get that
spices.
that oak, burned oak, charred oak.
Oh, man. It's going to be rough. So, yeah, golden amber in color. We're getting warm notes of vanilla, honey, and a rich caramel sweetness. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm getting. Well, you can definitely tell that's 100 proof.
It is smooth, though.
That is
You can tell the age, too.
Well, the taste is smooth, warm, and sweet with subtle rye, spice note, caramel and honey mingle with just enough oak and char to round out the richness and a long, lingering finish.
Yeah, it's definitely long and lingering because I'm just getting heat in the chest.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's smooth, though. It's really good.
That's it smacks you
Yeah.
almost. It's like
real smooth up front, and then you get that heat.
yeah, like real quick too.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if just because my allergies or not, my senses are a little bit different, but it's like I'm just taking a drink of this, and it's like I can automatically tell it's higher proof, and then I'm just getting a lot of
Yeah, you get
stuff
that,
going
you
on.
get that peppery and that rye, definitely. That's what's the long lasting on the back end.
Yeah, definitely warm, sweet, but yeah, definitely get a lot of the rye spiciness going on.
This would be like a great winter whiskey.
Yes.
When it's cold outside with a cigar or something.
Yep. And
Sitting by a fire.
yeah, I think when we put it on the rocks, it's going to do the same thing it always does. Brings out the caramel, kind of cools
Sweeten
it down
up.
a bit,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Not bad, though.
I picked a bad day to mow the grass, man. I am miserable.
Yep. I've been outside all day.
Yeah, that's Heaven Hill Distillery. It's pretty cool. They I don't think I would say this is a lot like Blanton's.
No. Blanton's reminds me more of a Jack Daniel's profile.
Of course, it's been probably a few months since I've had Blanton's.
Yeah. Every time
But-
I tasted it, I was like, ooh, that's like a little good at Jack.
Now that it's on the rocks, it's like, well, maybe. It definitely smoothed it out, and you're getting a lot more of the caramelness. If that's even a real word, caramelness. Yeah, I mean, that really dumbed it down. Just
Oh, yeah.
that sitting on the rocks real quick like that, it took away a lot of that burn, and the spiciness is still there, but not as strong as it was. It really smoothed it out.
Yeah, it did.
That's interesting.
I could see the Blanton's profile on that now.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah, that really changed it.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I liked it neat, but it was
Just
a
boom
lot.
right in your face.
Yeah.
This is really good on the rocks.
Yes. Interesting.
That's
All right.
crazy.
We'll see how it changes as we go on here. So
Yeah.
again, I don't know in your areas, but our area here, Kansas City, pretty much see this in a lot of places. and going rate's about $50, like I said.
Yeah,
So
not bad.
not bad at all. That's
That's pretty much our average price anymore for us.
Especially for a 7-year-old 100 proof.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think I bought an 8-year this weekend, and it was right about $50. Like, I'll buy an 8-year for that.
Right. Yeah, that's, like you said, unfortunately kind of, anything lower than that is okay.
It's hit or miss.
Yeah, but now it's like, okay, to get something really good, you're around the 50 or higher mark.
Yeah.
And it sucks on the wallet.
Yeah, it does.
But.
Oh, well. It's part of the game, right?
Yep. All right, so we got a few different things to talk about. We'll see how far I can get through with these allergies because I'm just miserable right now. But the first thing I wanted to talk about is kind of the main topic, and that is gun shows.
Yeah.
So I have noticed, I've been an FFL. I've been a gun dealer since 2017. And I remember when I first got into guns, 2013, 14-ish, that I went to my first gun show, and we had to wait in a long line to get in. And once you got in there, I mean, this place was packed.
Yeah.
And it was at the Overland Park Convention Center, and it was, of course, I've never been to one, but I thought it was big. It looked pretty big. And I just remember all the different vendors, all the guns, and you always had to, now you can kind of go up and look at guns really quick, but you had to kind of wait for people to move along, and it was just, it's a lot different than it is now.
Yeah, I know. Since I've gotten into it, probably 17 when I got into it.
Yep.
Like, I've noticed a big decrease. Like, I remember the first couple ones, I was like, man, this is like overwhelming for me. Like, they had this part over here. Okay, who had the other one? Which one was it? And now it's like, oh, I know exactly where to go. Straight to it, and that's it.
I know there's a lot of vendors that I remember back then that aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's so that time frame, I think that was Obama era. So of course.
Yeah, Obama getting ready for Trump. Kind of.
Yeah. 2013 was Obama was in there, right?
Yeah.
And so gun sales were going on because there's always a threat of him banning something and everything. And I remember when I first got into guns that it was hard to find ammo, especially 9mm. If you went to Academy, if they had it, you were limited to like 1 or 2 boxes. I'm like, is this normal?
Yeah.
Like, should it be this hard? And my buddy's like, no, it's because of everything going on. I forgot what gun scare there was, but there was one and everybody bought up the ammo. 22 long rifle was another one that was hard to get.
Yeah, I remember that one.
So once I got my 9mm and my Ruger 22, I would always buy a little bit when I could find it, 9mm and stuff like that. And I thought that was the norm, but it obviously wasn't.
Yeah.
So sales were crazy back in that time. And, I really got into guns and started kind of buying and selling stuff. And I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I need to do it right.
Yeah.
And go legit. And it'd be cool to be a home-based FFL. So I did that and got approved and started up and running at the end of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So the first probably 2 years, 2 maybe 3 years were crazy. I remember my first gun show. I did a small one. It was like in Manhattan, this was in Gardner.
Yeah, that little like hole in the wall, like shack almost.
Yeah, it wasn't very busy, but I'm like, all right, for my first one, this is getting my feet wet and getting used to how to set up the table and do that and stuff like that. And there were still, quite a bit of people coming in and out of there. And then I did the Overland Park show as my first one, and it was so freaking busy. I remember I had to have you help me. I had to have my cousin help me. My wife had to help me. There was people constantly coming through. I think I was trying to do like a bunch of different background checks at the same time. And I could not do it by myself. It was insane. And that lasted for probably a couple years at not only the Overland Park one, but I also do Topeka.
Yeah.
And same thing with that is it was just insane. I had 3 tables that I could barely fit all my product on. It was insane. And then, it started dwindling down. I think we went through that Trump slump.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about. And it's because, when people aren't worried about the threat of guns being taken away or gun bans, you don't buy
You
as
know,
much.
yeah.
People, because I'm an arrow dealer, and so I would constantly be selling strip lowers. Like
Yep.
I could not keep those things in stock. And then once Trump came in, they just kind of sat there and for a while anyway. And then so yeah, the not only the vendors and the size of the show shrunk, but also the type of vendors that are now at shows are a lot different.
Yeah, I remember there used to be a lot of AR vendors at all these gun shows, and it was like overwhelming, especially if you're building one. You're like, oh crap, now what do I do?
Yeah.
But
And that was the cool thing is like if you didn't find something online or if there was something online, but you want to, I'm a person that
I gotta have hands on.
I know. I'm like, I got to physically go touch it, look at it, compare it to some other things. Like my wife is all Amazon. She buys everything on Amazon, clothes and everything. I'm like, man, don't you like want to try some of this shit on? And she's like, she just returns it. I'm like, that's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to physically, especially a big purchase.
Yeah.
Like a gun is a big purchase. And so I want to be able to feel it, compare it to some other stuff, even looking at parts. I like to be that. And yeah, back then it was nice because there were tons of vendors with that. And
well, that too, a lot of I've noticed too, like gun stores, a lot of them have closed down around here.
yeah.
Like there was one that was like right down the street from here, and I loved going there because they had everything to build an AR, and they had multiple brands, multiple different things. So you could always look at them, hold them, and actually see it. It's like, man, which one do I want? They had colors too, and
yeah, it's
gone down.
Once we went through that a little bit of a Trump slump, and then COVID hit.
Yeah,
and
everyone panic bought.
They did. I ran out of inventory, couldn't keep it up. And then, of course, we couldn't do gun shows for a while there. And, business was good while I had inventory, but it was really hard to stock up and still did quite a few transfers. But I pretty much sold everything I had gun-wise. And more new people were getting into guns, which was awesome.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, everything started opening back up. And then we were able to go back and do the gun shows and everything. And it was a complete 180 from what it was before. The Overland Park one, which was huge, always had lines, like we said.
Yeah.
No lines. You just walk right in. And the size of the venue,
shrunk
by like at least half.
Yeah. Because I remember it used to fill up pretty much that whole hall.
Yep.
And the last couple of times we've went, it's been like half, if not a quarter of that hall.
Like we would spend a good chunk of a day there.
Yeah.
Just trying to go to all the different tables.
Yep.
And now, if they have it, you're in and out of there probably maybe an hour.
Yeah.
Depending on how slow you are.
Yep.
But it's crazy. And it's only gotten smaller as time has gone on. And the last couple that I've done, and the end of 2023 and the beginning of 2024 now, it's at the point to where it's not even worth it.
Yeah.
For at least me. And I know talking to some other vendors and kind of seeing the business they're doing, they're in the same boat. Like
that's scary.
It is. And it sucks because, I like supporting small businesses, local businesses, and a lot of other people do too. But we're not making the money that you need to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And that's one good thing about being a home-based FFL is you don't have a lot of overhead like having a brick and mortar. So that helps, but if you're not selling stuff, it's crazy. And not only are the vendors cut in half, and I mean there were a ton of just gun tables, like mostly gun tables.
Yep.
Now it's like you have a few gun tables here, and then you have this stupid like Scentsy stuff
or apparel.
Yeah. Stuff that's not even related to guns. You have a jewelry vendor.
Yeah.
I get it. You want, some stuff for the wives or whatever. But a lot of people complain about that because they go to a gun show to look at guns.
Yeah.
And now probably only half the tables that are there carry guns.
Yeah.
And it's not even the huge inventory that it used to be. And as a dealer, right now it's hard to keep that inventory handy because that's a lot of stuff to sit on. And with the interest rates super high right now, and it's hard to gauge what people want because it's like, all right, people wanted strip blowers. So you stocked up on those and now they're not moving.
Yeah.
And then, I used to be able to sell Glocks all day.
Yeah.
Now, freaking can't sell a Glock to save my life.
Which is crazy. I don't know. I wonder if it's like just a shift because people aren't like aware of what's going on in the world or like because a lot of people like COVID, everyone's probably like watching the news, like flipping out, like, oh my God, this is going into chaos. But like a lot of these gun bans, you don't really hear about on media. They like, let's keep that on the DL.
Right.
So people aren't aware.
Unless you listen to us.
Yeah, listen to us or other YouTubers like ourselves. But like people need to kind of like wake up and like, oh yeah.
You think it's partly that, and then also partly because people bought, they probably don't need stuff, and then also the economy.
That I think it's more the economy going to the tank. Everything's gone up exponential.
Right.
Like it's hard to save.
Right.
And then I think it is a lot of it. The media is not telling everything, and you're not hearing about it. Like gun bans, I remember hearing about those on the news all the time. Now you hardly ever hear about them, even though they're going on in these states.
Yep.
Which is scary. But I also think some people might have, I've got 3 ARs now. What should I do with a 4th one or a 5th one or a 6th?
Yep.
Because everyone loves ARs. I mean, they're fun. They're fun to build, especially if we're all cooped up in our houses.
Yep.
For a period of times, yeah. Let's build an AR.
Well, and a lot of people that even recently that I'm like, hey, they're looking at a lower. I'm like, oh, you want to get that? And they're like, oh, I already got some at home. So I think, people, I think ARs are still popular, but so many people have them now, and there's only so much really you can do. I mean, yeah, there's different calibers and stuff, but at the end of the day, having one or two ARs is good, but then there's so many other guns out there that you want to have that maybe the AR market's kind of lost its...
Maybe. I don't know. But who else is going to like the extent of doing like crazy colors too?
Right.
Or are people just building them like, oh, I'm done?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, like you and I have built several.
Yeah.
When was the last time we shot those?
Last time we went
outside. I'm pretty sure there's like a mound of dust on these guns behind me just because they haven't been shot.
Last time we went shot was when we went, 2 years ago probably now?
It's been at least 2 years for me.
Yeah.
So
the last time I went shotting was with you.
So we're probably creeping up on 3 years almost because we went to Brandon's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a minute.
That and like a lot of people don't have time anymore just to go to the range. You got to like, I don't know, plan it almost. And it's hard to plan things like that, especially now. Everyone wants to be outside and doing stuff, especially since we're all cooped up for a year, 2 years inside our house.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, the latest gun show that I did this past weekend was another one in Overland Park, but it was at American Legion. It was a small gun show. It's their only second one that they've had there. And it's cool because there's a lot of older guys there, like older vendors. And it's nice because it's intimate and they're all guns because there were only like 58 tables.
Yeah.
And, I thought there hasn't been one in Overland Park for a little while. This is a nice, veteran run thing. Yeah. Not a whole lot of money to get in compared to some of the other gun shows. I was hoping and thinking, it'd be busy.
Well,
we'd sell a lot, but no, like it was so dead.
Yeah. Well, I think too, they don't really post much like they used to.
You can't, because if you post anything about selling guns on Facebook,
they flag you.
Yes, they flag you.
So it's hard to like gun shows, like you used to see it. They used to announce them all over the radio all the time. Big old billboards on the highway. Like you don't see that anymore. And if you do, it's like one or two, and it's like, oh, and then you're like, oh man, I missed that one already.
Yep. It's actually the only one locally I see advertised is the one at the KCI gun show.
Yep.
And that one's still a little bit bigger, but I'm licensed in Kansas. I can't sell guns in Missouri, so I can't go to that one, which sucks because that's one of the main ones, but also the tables are a lot higher.
Yeah.
So yes, I could sell like accessories and stuff, but it's not really worth it. The markup's not there on that kind of stuff. But I was really disappointed. Like I did not sell a single gun in my inventory. Jeez. I was like, man, I'm going to sell all these guns. Like it's going to be awesome. And because I have 1911s, it was hard to get some 1911s. Yep. And now they're starting to come back in stock. And I've had these 1911s for like a year or so now, right? And everybody at the gun shows comes up and is like, oh, these are awesome. Like everybody's got to touch it. And they're like, handling it like, oh, I want one of these. But nobody buys it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
And I just
think a lot of it, probably people are pressed for money anymore because of the economy.
Yeah, people are pressed for money. And then like I'll kind of stand there and like listen to people. Like I won't like sit there and stare at them like, what are you doing? I'll kind of like, be looking around. But you can still hear what they're talking about. And so many people and this has been since like day one that I've done gun shows, but more and more recently now, is everybody's like, I could buy this for either the same price or slightly cheaper online. So then they're like, oh, well, I can get it online for $20 less. So
Yeah, but then they don't realize they got to go and get the transfer fee for their next one. They don't think about that. They're just like, they see that price. Oh, I can get $20 cheaper. Not realizing it's got to go to a FFL. They're going to charge you a transfer fee.
Maybe shipping.
Yeah, and shipping maybe. Yeah, and it'll probably be more.
And then you got to wait on it.
Yeah.
Like you can take this home today.
Yeah.
You don't have to. Yeah. I mean, you probably even out. Maybe you'll save a little bit money, but you can take this home today. And that's me. Yeah. I want to take something home. Like I hate waiting on stuff that I order online.
You're like, oh my God. I'm always like watching the tracking thing. Like, okay, it landed in Kansas City. Where's it at?
Yep.
It better be out for delivery.
Even the 2-day shipping stuff. It's still like, I hate that 2 days of waiting.
Yeah.
Like I want it now.
Yeah.
So that's why like I could save a little bit of money ordering it online, but like if I can go get something I want now, I'm going to go get it now.
All day. Yeah.
So that's one thing. And it's funny. It's like, I'm telling them like, it's a little bit cheaper, but you're going to have to spend, I have the cheapest transfer fees in the metro at $20. Most other places,
$40-$50.
Exactly. If you go to like the gun shop or academy, you're looking at least $40. Even some of the other home-based FFLs are at least 25 to 30, sometimes 40. So you got to factor that on to the cost. And then, at a gun show, we can work with you on some stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of negotiation there, but there's sometimes people are like, well, can you match this price? And it's like, I can't, because that is a huge box store that buys in so much bulk that that's basically my wholesale price at this point. So, and I'm like, you know what? I'll take a little bit of a markup just so I make a little bit of money, and then they still don't buy it. It's like, man,
that's crazy.
So I think there's like a combination of things. And if you guys live in other states and go to the gun shows, let us know kind of what you're seeing as well. If you're kind of seeing the same thing we are, or maybe your gun shows are still popular and they're bigger. I don't know if maybe it's just in the Kansas area or not. I know there's some in Wichita I need to check out, but it's like 3 hours there. And
that's a drive.
And I know there's one every year in Tulsa that's supposed to be like the biggest gun show.
Yeah.
But again, I can't go there and sell because I'm not licensed in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So let us know what you guys' gun shows are looking like. If you've noticed a decline in not only the vendors, but also just the amount of people showing up. Because it's kind of scary because, I'm struggling as a business just trying to pay the bills because we're not selling anything. But I've also noticed the amount of transfers I do from people buying online and having them shipped here is like, it's like 99% of the business right now.
Huh.
So people are still buying guns from what I can see.
It's just all online.
It's just,
That's crazy.
Which I get it. I mean, you want to save a buck
I think
or
a
two,
lot of it's media.
You think?
Influenced a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you used to be able to go on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace and all that stuff now, and you can't do that. Yeah, I remember posting guns for sale on Facebook. Yeah. Like there was like a Facebook group and Marketplace, like you said, and all of a sudden, bam, they shut that down. And what sucks is I do a lot of my listings on Arms List. Yeah. And I used to do a lot of business through there, but because they keep getting sued, they had to somehow recoup that money. So they started charging people like $30 for a subscription fee
a month for a subscription fee. Dead. Like I haven't had any sales through Arms List in a very long time now. So it sucks because I mean that's really other than like Gun Broker and some other ones, that was like the main place you could sell guns, private sale or as a dealer.
I wonder if you could like sell to like Academy or Shields or something like that.
I don't think so, because I actually during height of COVID when I was looking for a bolt action 6.5 Creedmoor, I went there and bought a Mossberg Patriot. Yeah. In 6.5 Creedmoor. It's really cool gun. And I'm like, hey, I'm a dealer. Here's my license. Here's my sales tax thing. Yeah. I'm like, can you work with me? Like, at least not charge me sales tax. And I'm like, no.
That's crazy.
So we had to do it all as a private sale. I'm like,
nuts.
Dang it.
That's crazy.
I'm a dealer. You can't. So I know they can't sell to dealers. So I'm assuming they can't buy from dealers. I'm sure
they buy used guns all the time.
Academy does?
Academy has used guns, I think. I know Bass Pro does and Shields.
I know Shields does.
Bass Pro does too.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know how that works.
Of course, if I go like, hey, you want to buy my inventory? They'll be like, yeah, we're going to offer you like way less. 'Cause they're a big box store, so I'm sure they get a discount on bulk or whatever. But
I'll give you a 5% discount.
Right.
Just buy everything up so I can just do transfers.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have that many guns in stock. Like, I only got like one AR.
Yeah.
2 long guns. I got an AR and a 1022 takedown. The rest are pistols. So I'm to the point to where the last 2 shows, even at the convention center and this other one, have been dead.
Yeah.
So I'm to the point to where it's not even worth my time.
Yeah.
Going to the gun shows.
Like I've even noticed, like going to some of these box stores, like used to be aisles packed full of people looking for certain ammos and stuff, and I haven't seen that lately.
Right.
Like the last couple times I gone to Shield, there's like 1 or 2 people maybe looking at ammo or a gun. Like I'm not seeing it like how it used to be. I wonder if everyone just panic bought and they got an overabundance and they haven't shot in a while. Like, I don't have time to shoot, so
Yep.
I got all this ammo.
Kind of both. I mean, and I think people don't have the spare money anymore.
Yeah.
Because of inflation and it's so freaking expensive.
Bidenomics.
Right? But I've noticed kind of a theme, like even with myself, right now, ammo's available.
Yeah.
At a relatively okay price. It's not what it used to be, but still not terrible. Not 2020 prices. So when it's there and available, people don't buy.
Yeah.
But when it starts to disappear,
that's when the panic comes in and they got to start buying it all up.
Exactly.
It's like the toilet paper scare,
Yep.
COVID.
Yep. People are like, oh, whoa, I'm not going to be able to buy this. Then they go out and buy it. And that kind of...
It's crazy because I know there for a while, every paycheck, I'd be like, well, let's go buy 3 boxes of 223, 556
Right.
or 2-3 boxes of 9 or 40 and just stockpile it.
Yep.
But if we don't go shoot, I'm like, I don't really need to go buy anything because I haven't shot in a while.
Right. And I have a stockpile of stuff. It's like,
yeah,
I have enough now. Like it's not like I'm shooting and need to replenish what I have.
Yeah.
You can never have too much ammo, but with the cost of everything, it's so expensive to
do anything anymore.
It's like, God, it's so expensive. Like the cost of everything. And I'm like, well, this money I could put towards ammo is going to have to go towards
this and this because I can't afford food.
Yes. And because of Biden economics, the fact that my wife and I are dinks, dual income without kids, we get screwed on our taxes.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, man, I want to buy a trap gun because a vendor that I work with on my day job is doing a trap shoot in May. I'm like, well, I don't have a trap gun. I sold it to Hunter. But I'm like, man, shit, I don't know if I'm going to be able to buy one now just because it's...
Yeah.
I was hoping with the gun show I'd be able to sell moves and stuff and have some cash flow, but it's like, nope.
It's crazy.
I think there's a variety of things kind of making this happen, but it sucks because the small businesses like me
are suffering from it.
Yeah, and then they're gonna disappear.
Yep.
Or it's not even. There's some other vendors that were there that have a storefront, but then they do gun shows, on the weekend. But even them, it's like if they're not selling enough to
cover the cost,
do the gun show or make it worth time, there's less vendors.
Yeah.
So your gun shows get smaller and smaller. And I think, 2013, 2014, they were huge. And now they're like so small. The crowd, I am there by myself now. Like the last few years, I set it up, run it by myself, and I am bored. Like I am so bored.
I think I went with one last year with you in Topeka, and I was like, man.
Yeah.
There was like nothing.
Yeah. It went from needing all this help to like, I am bored out of my mind.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yep.
And it's not looking good. I don't know, with Biden, maybe he needs to do a gun scare and drum up business. But again, I think a big part of it is people don't have the money to spend because if you already have a gun, you're set. You think you're probably like, all right, I'm set for home defense.
Yeah.
And then anything above and beyond that is luxury. And luxuries right now are hard to afford.
Yeah, it is. Like I think I might say a couple times, like, man, I really need to go shoot.
That ammo's not cheap, and you gotta.
I gotta replenish what I shoot.
Exactly. It's like, well, we could go shoot this, but then it's like, well, then I gotta.
Gotta go spend a couple $100 on replenishing everything now.
Yep. So, yeah, that's just what we've been seeing as a small home-based FFL and kind of the local gun shows in the Kansas area is that they've just gone way down. Not only the amount of vendors, but the crowds attending these gun shows. And it could be the internet because everybody just buys on the internet now.
Yeah.
So that could be another big thing is everybody's like, well, instead of wasting time paying the cover fee to go to the gun show, I'm just going to buy it online. Like buy it on Gun Shop and or whatever.
Go pick it up or whatnot.
Yep. So, I mean, I guess the saving grace is I have had a lot of transfers and a lot of repeats, but yeah, it's so people are still buying, just not at gun shows.
Yeah.
It's crazy. All right, so the other thing I'm sure you guys probably have heard of, maybe not. You know, when 2020, 2021, like we've been talking about, there was all the defund the police bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, now, wow, I'm like 14
back
again, right? Well, now we're starting to see some effects of a lot of that. We've done other podcasts on, like, was it California and all the stuff that they're going on with the police and
air horns.
And the fact that crime is rising in all these cities that they were like, oh, let's defund the police. Well, now time has gone on and they're like, well, shit, this is actually kind of a bad thing. Well, recently, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, one of the, I think, like top 3 biggest cities in that state, the chief of police just put out this thing on how they're actually cutting what they're going to respond to and the number of officers that are available. Kind of probably a lot of things other than just defund the police coming with this, because who wants to be a cop these days?
Man,
right?
This is scary just because I went down a dark rabbit hole probably 6 months ago on YouTube.
Oh.
And like I found this one story. It happened, I think it was in either the 90s or maybe late 80s. And it happened in California.
Okay.
And it was talking about the Crips versus the Rangers. Have you ever heard that story? It happened on like Ash Street.
Is the Rangers a game? Or
no,
a gang?
like
Army
Rangers.
Oh, really?
So this guy, he was a army sergeant, I guess, for the Rangers, bought a house on Ash Street, which is like bad gang Crips and all that. And I guess he went on deployments. He noticed that it kept getting worse and worse every time he come home. And he told the police, hey, you guys need to start surveillance on this and doing more, because he had a camera in like the top of his story of his house.
Yeah.
The Crips didn't like that. And like he had a barbecue with all the neighborhood, and they're like, man, somebody has to do something. We're so sick of this. And he's like, okay. And then like, I guess one of the guys like threatened him, said, take that camera down. He's like, you can't tell me what to do. This is my house, my property. He's like, oh, we'll get you later, and gave him like the gun sign, like he's going to shoot him. So he called all of his Ranger buddies over and says, bring your guns, bring your ammo. And I guess there was like a shootout for like 10, 15 minutes. And finally the police responded, and I guess that changed the whole thing. Like they had to put more police back on patrol and really put a stop to it. But there's a YouTube channel that had it, and they talk about it in like detail. And they're like, they don't think anybody was killed. There were people arrested, but there were people that were fatally wounded that were reported in like Seattle, like a couple hours away, that were gang related, or they think they couldn't go to the hospital because they were gangs related, and they would go to jail for having guns and being a gun out.
You would think in that situation the Rangers would outgun the Crips.
I mean, they brought like 60 people, 60 guys to these like 10 Rangers.
I know, that's the problem is...
And it was at night.
Yeah. You have these trained Rangers that can obviously handle themselves, but then...
But they were going against people with like full, like the gangs, you know, they don't have...
Whoa.
Yeah,
wait a minute. You're telling me they have full autos.
Yeah, that they shouldn't have. Crazy.
But they're illegal, so how did they get them?
It's crazy, huh?
Right?
But yeah.
How does
but
that...
you should research it. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like,
is it LA?
Yeah. But it's a good story. Like, and I guess that changed the whole way of thinking for police. Like, hey, we need more police. We need more presence. We can't have this again. I guess cops were going to respond there, and there was so much gunfire, they got scared and were backing out, and they had to call SWAT in and everything to get it under control. Isn't that
also the same time frame where you had, NWA and the whole police thing against, white police and against black, and police were already at a disadvantage for everything they were doing with the race, but
Yeah, it was a crazy story though. Like,
Damn.
and I was like, man, every time I hear that now and I think of like, defund the police, like, yeah, this is what eventually people are gonna get sick of it and take actions in their own hand.
I wonder what guns the Rangers were using.
I don't know. Like,
Obviously, they weren't using full auto.
no,
because
they had like long rifles, like hunting rifles, some pistols.
ARs weren't big back then.
Nope. So, and like, he didn't get discharged from the military.
Actually, ARs were banned back then, weren't
Yeah, I think so. But he didn't get discharged from the Army, but he couldn't get a promotion. So he thinks that was part of the reason why.
they? Hey, man.
You stick up your property and stuff. People aren't going to put up with crap.
Yeah, that's the bad thing is the gangs,
Yep.
especially one that big. I mean, you're probably going to be outnumbered, and they're going to have Glock switches now. They're going to have full autos, which
They shouldn't
Governor
have.
Newsom over there says those are all illegal,
Yeah.
and it's going to stop crime. But guess what? They still obviously have those.
I just thought that story was crazy.
Yep.
Like, and every time I hear stuff like, "Oh, defund the police," like, you're gonna piss off the wrong
Yep.
person. Like,
Yep.
you don't know who's in your neighborhood and what their background is.
Exactly. I feel safe living next to that guy for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pittsburgh is not, the Pittsburgh police are not going to respond to calls that aren't considered in progress emergencies after these recent changes. And I think there's a lot of stuff behind this. Obviously, you have the defund the police, so there's a lot less funding. Like we just said, who wants to be a cop these days? So probably not a lot of cops. And the cops that are there are overworked.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that during, certain hours, they're slow. And then during like the daytime hours, they're like overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So if you're in Pittsburgh, I think the gun laws aren't too terrible in Pennsylvania. They're not the best, but they're not the worst. Definitely, consider getting something, because this is a thing where the government is always like, oh, we'll protect you.
But in this
You
case,
can't own a gun. Don't take things into your own hands. We'll protect you. Well, guess what? They've said that if something, like a lot of this, like, and it probably depends on what it is, but even if it's like a theft after the fact, they're not going to come do that. What you're going to have to do is, if like somebody breaks into your house and you find it later on, right now, normally you call the cops, they come out, do a report, maybe do fingerprints and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and write a report for your insurance and stuff like that. But now, no, you got to call a hotline and just call it in. They're not going to come investigate a theft that's already happened because they don't have the manpower to do so, and budget cuts.
I bet that'll change here before too long. If something crazy like that happens.
I don't know, but calls not considered in progress emergencies will be assigned by dispatch to a telephone recording unit.
Oh my God.
It's called the creation of an enhanced telephone reporting unit, or TRU, operating from 7 to 3 a.m. daily and on the weekends. So dispatch will assign reports to the call unit for calls that don't require an in-person response by officers. I'm sure like the calls will change too. They're like, all right,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
maybe a husband beats up a wife. Well, she calls the cops and they're like, well, are you being beat up right now? No, he beat me up like 5 minutes ago.
Man, that's scary.
Yeah, so that's a huge issue during that time frame. But they're saying it's because during those hours, less
Crimes
officers,
going on.
less crimes going on, and so they want to dedicate the manpower to the hours where more crimes going on. But guess what? Criminals are probably going to see. Oh, hey, look! During these hours,
We can get away with it.
yeah. So between 3 and 7 a.m., far fewer 911 calls are made. No desk officers will be present at the 6 police will be. Did I say president?
Yeah, you did.
No desk officers will be present at the 6 police stations in the city during those time. Like, that's scary. Like, what if some natural disaster happens or some explosion? Like,
Yeah, that's crazy to think.
so instead, call boxes are going to be installed during some overnight shifts. And during these changeover, there may only be 22 officers to cover the entire city.
That's nuts.
22 officers for probably, 300,000 or more
What time do
people?
bars usually close? 2 a.m., right?
Pennsylvania has weird alcohol laws,
Yeah.
so I don't know. But
I bet it's 2 because most places it's 2 or midnight.
yeah.
So
But
there's
from-
stuff still going on at those times.
Right. So from 3 a.m. to 7 a.m.
That's where probably a lot of their money's coming for DUIs, I bet, during that time.
Yeah.
You know?
And the chief of police says it's enough to cover the entire city in these hours where we have 8% of the time people are calling.
If they think this is an issue, why don't they do like voluntary police or like, you know how they do like voluntary firefighting?
Right.
Like, why don't we have that?
Probably because firefighters don't have to make the life and death decision that cops do.
Oh, well.
Like, obviously, you have to know the law.
I'm pretty sure a firefighter has to go into a fire and go, fuck, this could be my last day.
Well, yeah, but they're saving lives.
Yeah.
Like, they're going into a building. There's not the legality of, well,
Yeah.
should I shoot this person or not? And that could be a whole different story. So I kind of get that. You don't want volunteer. Maybe, like,
But you could get
somebody that was a cop and retired.
That, like, get someone to help with phones, like answering phones at least, dispatch.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. I hate... Please press 1 if it's this. Please press 2. And then if you're like, fuck, could this be it or could it be this? Then you have to go hit the menu button again, like, oh, crap.
When apparently these call boxes, they're like these blue boxes. If you are in an emergency, they're supposed to, like, make this loud noise around you. But, like, what is that going to do? Like, come on.
It's an air horn.
Yeah, so staffing shortages after the city plunged to 740 police officers from 900 previously. So they obviously have a lot. I mean, like we said, it's a hard time to be a cop right now.
It is, but also you got to protect your city too at the same time.
Yeah. And that's...
And knowing this, like...
It's the catch-22 that they're doing here, though, because they know that during this time frame, there's less calls.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of stuff that happens. People are going to take advantage of this. They got to know that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It may take some time,
there's only 22 police officers, you know how much stuff you can get away with at night during that time?
And you would think a lot of thefts, like, happen during those time frames and stuff. Like, 3 a.m., once the bar closes, like, nothing good happens after 3 a.m.
You don't even want to be out.
That's when you want to have, like, here in Kansas City, Westport in particular, those hours are very dangerous down there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're basically trying to take the officers that are being overwhelmed and overworked, because there's a human aspect to this.
Yeah.
Because cops are human, so they're tired and need support. So they're going to try and reroute those guys. More support during the hours that are busier, supposedly, in the city. But it's scary because...
Better get stuff to defend yourself.
So say you do have something in progress that they would respond to, but they're busy with something else.
Yeah.
Guess what? There's nobody to come save you at this point. The other cops are
Your
off
2
duty.
to 4 minute response time just probably turned into 2-3 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's I would be worried about that because criminals are going to catch on.
Oh, yeah.
This was all over the news. Like, 22 officers in the entire city between 3 and 7 a.m. It's perfect time to do stuff. We don't have jobs and contribute to the society, so we're going to...
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Spot for a mob or a mafia takeover.
So yeah, if you, most people are at home in bed by then, but if you work overnight somewhere, you work in the downtown area overnight, or you do work at a bar, and 3 o'clock is when you have to walk home.
What was that story I heard? There was a story here in Kansas City, I guess. Someone got off like their night shift, went to go pay for their gas, I guess they left the keys in the car. And someone came in, stole the car, tried running him over, so he shot and killed the person. Jeez. And they're saying that he should do life for killing that person. I was like, but that person not only stole the car, tried running him over with his car. Like at that point, it's self-defense.
Right. Yeah.
So like, I don't know. Like stuff does happen at those times because they'll be watching, especially criminals. Criminals will be criminals.
Here in Kansas City, anyway, those are dangerous times.
Oh, yeah.
Probably between like 2 and like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Is where you see a lot of it, especially on the weekends. Like that Westport area. I love Westport, but there's a certain time, like I'm not going to stay out in Westport past midnight.
Yeah.
Just because that's when you see a lot of shootings and stuff go down. And here in Pittsburgh, I don't know. I've never been to Pittsburgh, so I don't know what their nightlife is like.
Yeah.
But if it's anything like
Kansas City,
New York,
or Kansas City, or some of these bigger cities, I bet.
I mean, it's not a small city.
No, not at all.
So 22 cops to your entire population.
That's crazy.
Insane.
They're going to have something just like that story I told you.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So if you do live in Pittsburgh, I don't know exactly what your gun laws are
I
out
hope
there,
you
but
have stand your ground laws.
yeah. I would definitely buy a gun and keep it on you if you have to go anywhere between those.
Yeah.
Or even at your house, because, I mean, people might go break into houses.
Oh, yeah.
Point. People home or not. That's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another big city being affected by the whole defund the police and everything going on, because everybody pulls out their freaking phone now, and any altercation with the cop can turn bad. And then people see that and they're like, oh, cops are terrible. There's corrupt cops. There's corrupt cops. There's corrupt people in everything.
Yeah.
Like, there's bad apples. What are you going to do? Most cops are good. Yeah. But social media is doing terrible things for everybody right now.
People are so entitled. It's crazy.
So yeah, if you live in Pittsburgh, go to a gun show
and buy some guns and ammo. Help your local businesses.
Yep. All right, Chris. So what are your final thoughts on the Heaven Hill?
I like it a lot on the rocks.
Okay.
If I did it neat, it has to be a really cold day. I gotta be by the fire, outside, freezing my butt off.
Yep.
But on the rocks is right where it's at.
Yeah, it's really good. Really good.
Yeah.
I will probably go buy another bottle to put on the shelf. Because anything I like to have an open bottle and then one I can drink.
Yep.
This is probably one I'll replace. Unlike that James E. Pepper that we had. Once I open a bottle, then I drink it.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I don't.
That one has been sitting there. I'm like, I don't know if I'm.
Yeah. I sip on them.
That might be one my wife inherits. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it sucks because it's still like $50.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of the topics we had this week. Is what we've been seeing as far as a decline in gun shows and all that, and then the whole Pittsburgh thing.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. I'm sure it's going to just get worse.
Oh yeah, there's always a cause and effect for these things, and they'll probably see the effect faster.
Yep,
because of this.
But we'll see what happens in November.
Yeah,
I didn't vote yesterday, just because I didn't. One, I was busy, and I didn't see the point because it looks like Trump's going to win the thing anyway. So I was like, oh crap, I gotta vote. But he's already. I think he's in. Yeah. Haley dropped out, so it's like, what's the point of me going to vote? I'll vote in November. Yep, for sure.
Oh,
for the right person. Did you watch the State of the Union address?
No, thank God is what I heard.
I like to watch those just to see what he says, and surprisingly, like I as much as I'm not a Biden fan, he did pretty good. Like maybe they made him sleep for like days before this happened.
They probably did, and then drugged him up on cocaine.
Had something in his ear or something, but he didn't stumble as much as I was hoping he would have. Yeah. Which is why you started seeing a lot of Democratic news companies like, oh,
Biden's revived.
Yes.
Yeah, because he slept for 3 days and they fed food him like cocaine or something.
He still tripped up on a lot of stuff, and you could even, if you watch Kamala Harris's face on a few things, he's like, But those are always interesting just because when you have such a divide in Congress, it's funny to watch. Obviously, anything he says, the Democrats applaud and shout, and then you have the Republicans over here dead silent. But what I hate, as Republican as I am, I don't like the Marjorie Taylor Greene or whatever her name is. Don't freaking get up and shout stuff. You have the entire country or world watching
you. Yeah,
we know you don't agree with what he's saying. Don't, as much as I don't like Biden, don't freaking start hackling and stuff. Just sit there and
I'd probably.
It's entertaining, kind of, but it's also like these are our leaders, and this is what's going on. It's like freaking high school.
I mean, other countries are laughing at us already, so we're already a laughing stock. So,
and you had Biden like calling out Republicans and stuff like that on stuff that they won't pass, and
because it won't pass for a reason.
Yeah, like the border was a huge issue. And he's like, oh well, why don't you guys sign this border deal? All this stuff.
You should have already had the borders protected, you idiot.
Yeah, I'm like kind of disappointed in just the heckling. Like, don't do that. Like, you guys are in government, you're leaders.
That's why I really believe that they need to all have terms.
Yeah. Well, she's pretty new.
Yeah, but I'm talking. There should never be a career politician.
Yeah, like Biden.
Yeah,
I mean Pelosi. And,
yeah, like
what's
you
that?
go in there and you're supposed to only make 150,000, but yet your net worth's millions, like hundreds of millions of dollars. That doesn't add up.
Right. Yeah, watching that, it's like, yeah, okay, so maybe he went through that okay, but I still don't think it gives him a leg to stand on because the economy is still crap. The border is a big thing. Yeah, he's telling, the Republicans stuff, but there's a lot of other BS built into that deal. And
all the money you gave to Ukraine, you could have had the border policy completely stopped, had a wall like 5-6 times. You could have ended homelessness.
The wall that was being built and he stopped?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could have ended homelessness 3 times in America.
And that's another thing with guns and also police is you have all these immigrants coming into the U.S.
Yeah.
All these big cities like Pittsburgh and others.
Well, that you don't even know who's coming into the
You don't know who's coming in, but then you don't have the police force to add to the population this vast. And I'm sorry, who knows what these people are doing?
I mean, we're starting to see disease break out. I think I saw an article about measles break out in California again. We haven't had measles in the U.S. for how long? I mean, we have border protections for a reason. We know who's supposed to be coming in and out.
Well, also, I think the measles thing is also because the whole vaccine thing. There's so many people out there oh, well, I'm not going to vaccinate my kids.
Yeah, and then when they die, it's child endangerment.
Like when we were kids, there was no question. You're going to go get this vaccine.
Yeah, you had to, or you couldn't go to schools.
But now, parents are it's dude, this has been going on forever. Everybody's fine.
Yeah.
Go take the freaking measles. And they don't. And so then, it's going to come back.
Yeah.
And that's what you're seeing.
I saw another one, the bubonic plague. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just keep that stuff away.
Luckily, we can control that. We got better medicine.
Yeah.
But still, you hear that term and you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah. We're going back way back.
If that COVID was worse, man, the bubonic plague took out way more people.
Yeah. And pretty quick.
Yeah. But that was, I only watch those things not because I want to hear what he has to say that he did, which he really didn't do, but I just want to see how he gets through it and kind of the response from everybody and stuff.
At this point, you have no respect for the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to know when your mental health and your physical health are not there and when to hang it up.
Yeah.
Because you're doing more damage than good especially for a country.
If you're obviously a lifetime politician and your ultimate goal is to become president, you're going to meet that goal.
But
unfortunately it doesn't come until later on, but it's well, shit, now I'm going to be president.
But it's the stress, especially him. He was a vice president. He saw what it did to Obama and how much he aged in that time.
What's the vice president really do, though?
Yeah, but still, we all can watch the presidents and watch them come in, and when they leave, they look like 15, 20 years older.
It's funny because
4 to 8 year period.
The last two really couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Of course, they were already old anyway.
Yeah.
And we're only at 4 years for both.
Obama, look at him. He aged significantly. Bush, all of them have.
Yeah. I would not want that job.
It's the most stressful job there is.
A lot of benefits, but you can't make anybody happy. There's going to be half the country that hates you, half the country that loves you. You're going to have some in between. Everything's your fault.
Yep.
No matter what side you're on. I wouldn't want that. I don't want to turn on the TV or a podcast and hear people bitching about stuff I may not have control over.
Yeah.
It's because there's a politics game.
Veto everything, put everyone in a room, whoever comes out victorious. All right.
Right. Yeah.
Go back to old age.
But we'll see what happens. Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in this week. If you do happen to find this whiskey anywhere, we highly recommend it.
Yes.
It's actually, I'm glad we pulled this one. We were undecided on what we wanted to try, and I'm like, well, what about this one?
Yeah.
Only because I know I can go buy another bottle. So, it's good. I like it.
Yep.
Keep her. So, if you guys have any questions, let us know down in the comments. If you're listening to audio only, jump over to YouTube, subscribe to the channel. You can listen. I watch a lot of podcasts on YouTube, but just because I have YouTube Premium, so I don't get the ads.
Yeah.
And you can turn it off, close out of the app, and it still do it. So watch on YouTube.
Yeah.
We get views that way. But
Yeah, we appreciate you guys watching. If you have any input on the gun shows or anything else, let us know in the comments. If there's anything you want to hear us talk about in the future, let us know as well. And with that, Christopher.
Remember, this is a YouTube podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and tickle that bell. If you're listening on other platforms, please hit that follow button. And with that, everybody, have a good one.